And we continue on with the Radio Real Estate Show featuring Chris Lofthus of the Chris Lofthus Group. And Chris, as always, each and every week when we get to our third segment of the show, have a special guest that comes on board. Last week, I believe it was Burton Freeze talking about some remodeling and elements you can do to your home. And if you miss any of those segments, make sure you go to Chris's website, download those. You can listen to them. And today you've brought your friend Pete with you, and we say friend, shoot, you guys have been buddies for 44 decades. I shouldn't say 44 decades, just 4 decades.
Yeah.
And Pete is in town from San Diego, coming here, and just kind of a perspective, because we obviously take Idaho for granted. That's just a fact of life. We take it for granted. My guess is Pete goes, wow.
Well, yeah, and Pete comes and visits a lot, and he loves it here. And he actually visited here. He moved me here before my family even moved here. He helped me move up here, and we were just discussing last night when he flew in, just about the fact of how much Boise has to offer, and I kind of just was like, hey, we don't have anyone on the show this week. We're going to come on. I said, why don't you come on and chat about why you like Boise and why you see the flow, because there are so many people coming in from out of state. It's incredible. They're really there's this big push of coming again. It's going to happen again. And you look at the transaction numbers, and it's truly happening. And we track where these people are coming from, and they're coming from all over the place. But there is a push from California. Idahoans don't seem to typically like it too much, but it's a fact of life, and so we just deal with it.
And I'm not convinced. I mean, I grew up in the state of Idaho, so I'm not always convinced. I think that kind of becomes sort of like us ignoring Canyon County. I think one person says it, so we all believe it. I've met you. I can go down the list. Shoot, people seem to think Chris Peterson's okay. Sure glad he moved here from California, right?
Exactly.
Now I'm going to the extreme, but... So, Pete, I know we don't have the Chargers. I know we don't have the Padres. We can go down the list. But what do you like best when you come to Idaho to visit? What do you like best?
I think I like best just the outdoors, the quality of life out here. The way the subdivisions are, they're a lot bigger than California. And I think the biggest thing is just the outdoor life. You can go fishing. You can go skiing. You can be different places and lakes. So I think that's the best thing that Idaho's got going, and I think it's a really affordable place for families. It seems like to be a really positive place as far as the schools go and just the community in general itself. That's what I feel when I get here.
Well, and you hit on something. When I would go, going back to college days now, I go see my friends that lived in Los Angeles. The question was, okay, what do you want to do today? Do you want to go to the beach? The Dodgers game kind of went down the list, and I go, well, can't we do all that? No, you pick one thing you do, and is that true? So you say, we're going to the beach. That's it. That's all, because it's going to take us X amount of hours to get there, X amount to get back. We're here. You guys can go whitewater rafting, maybe go fishing. We're going to play golf later on in the day, and we're going to go out for a nice dinner.
Exactly. When you live in California or you live in San Diego, I live in a pretty big community, you pick one thing. And with Chris, we're talking about what we're going to do today, and we're talking about going fishing today. We're talking about going White River rafting.
Now, when to him going fishing is going to the produce department at Albertsons, right? Okay.
That's true. We're going to find out if we can fish today. Right. Then I better back off that statement.
Yeah, so you guys have a whole list of things that you're going to do. How about the kids? Do you get the feel when you go back home, they say, hey, Dad, we'd like to live here?
Yeah, I mean, they love the outdoor life. They have friends in San Diego, a community.
Right.
We live in a pretty nice community as well. But if we had the opportunity to start over, I think we would, in fact, do that.
Yeah. So what do you, Chris, is that echoing what you hear when people call you, check on your whisper list, or, hey, I think I'm going to get moved there?
Sure.
And we don't care whether it's California, Texas, Illinois, wherever it might be, Montana, Wyoming. Is that what you're hearing when they call you about asking about the area in the state?
Yeah, 100%. And typically it takes a long time for people to make the decision. They'll start thinking about it a year, 2 years go by, and we stick in there with these people and we keep talking to them. But yeah, they're choosing this place because of the lifestyle, but you also have to make a living, and so that's kind of the tough quagmire that, if you want to call it that, of what's going on in Boise, which is changing. It's getting better. We're seeing a lot of people that are bringing small businesses in. They're starting small businesses. A lot of guys are independent, and so they can live wherever they want. We see a lot of regional sales managers of big corporations that live here. So overall, yeah, the big push is, and I was discussing this, when we were down at the club talking, giving that talk about real estate, is that, fact of the matter is California people have a tendency, like, if you want to call it greed, or not all of them, but I'm just saying, last time when we had this push that happened, they were truly the people that came in here and ran the number up. I mean, they really did. They started chasing the market up, and it got so high that it wasn't even possible when you looked at the number, that it wasn't even affordable anymore for people. And so you saw that market correction, which we didn't get hurt as bad as some people, but overall, it's never happening again. It's just not going to. Lending's never going to loosen up like that again. And the fact is that people that are moving here, whether it's Colorado, Seattle, Oregon, California, whatever, they're moving here for the lifestyle, and they want a better place to live.
Now, Chris, I just brushed over that, and I don't want to do that on your basically what you've created in this secret or the whisper list. So
Sure.
Some people say, hey, I heard you mention that. Now, you've had it going now for a couple of months, so that means it's brand new. Remind, refresh, reinforce what our listeners hear when they say, what's that secret Chris Lofthus list?
Well, I'll give you an example. Pete and I woke up this morning, we were kind of chatting about what he wants out of his life, and he said, I'd love to buy a place on Banbury Golf Course later, single level, whatever, later on in my life. Buy it now, maybe keep it as an investment, rent it out, whatever. And so that's kind of part of the secret list of what we do. It's houses that aren't on the market. Their sellers will possibly call me and say, you know what, Chris, we don't want to list our house right now. We don't want to deal with showing it. We don't want a sign in front of our yard. We don't want people coming through our house. But come over, see us. We go see them. We look at their house, and we keep it on a special list. It's called the Chris Lofthus Group Secret List. And what it is, it's a list of houses, and I think we have like 20 of them on there now. But there's a list of houses that aren't listed, but people will sell them if you want to buy them. So when we get the parameters, like Pete says, hey, Chris, I want a single level house, 2,200 square feet in Banbury on the golf course. Don't want to spend more than this. Bam, I can tell you right now, one pops to mind right away that I have on Oak Hampton that's sitting there right now. And the guy said, hey, Chris, we'll sell. We just don't want to deal with putting it on the market.
So, Pete, let me ask you and I don't know if you looked at it online, but how critical is it for you in terms of the house has got to be clean and the front? I'm talking about just taking a peek at it on that list, because that's part of what attracts people to this is, hey, I've got kids. I don't want my in-laws knowing I'm thinking about it. Do you really care? Because it's more on the outer skirts of your radar, too.
Do I care as far as...
Well, for right now, as far as the secret list, you just want to see where it's at and what it's got.
Exactly. I just kind of want to, plan on the future.
Like you were saying, kind of kick the can and say, hey, look, kick the tires, say, hey, what's out there right now, what's going on. And if something popped up on the radar, he'd make a move on it. And that's kind of what's going on. We talk about inventory levels being so low. And then you throw another, look at me. So if I have 20 on the secret list and there's 2,000 houses on the market, it's not a bad number to have. It's inventory, and so it is available. So if people want to reach out to us, and we can give them the list, and we can show them around and possibly make a connection there.
So what is your procedure, like you said, in terms of somebody hears and says, okay, I want to get on that? Do they call you, Annette? Do they get on the website?
Yeah.
And then also to be assured that we're not going to go, hey, we found a house on Banbury and here's the address. Go check it out.
Well, we don't do that because the people are somewhat private about it. But
Right.
the fact is we can make a phone call. Just reach out to us. You can reach out to Annette or me at contact us at clgeagle.com. Or again, you can call my cell phone at 514-5003. Go to the website, and you can also contact us from there as well. And then what we can do is we can set up a tour for you.
All right. Hey, Pete, we appreciate you coming on. Let me ask you, you've been a long friend of this guy, so you know the good, bad, and the ugly. But one thing I've always told people about Chris, he's enthusiastic as you hear on the radio. And if he says he's going to do something for you, he's going to take care of it. Has that been your assessment of him over the last 4 decades?
Absolutely. I've known him since I was basically 6 years old and known his family as well. And he's just a very passionate guy, and he's in the right field. And he really believes in what he's doing.
I sold one of my first houses. I sold was to Pete.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that. Well, that's good. It's
And we're
always
still
good
friends.
Good to have relationships. And Pete, we know you'll be up here full time someday soon. And thanks for poking your head in. And if you guys don't catch any fish today, call me tomorrow, and we'll get that lined up for you.
Got it.
We're going to take a time out. We come back for our final segment. Some houses that are out there. A couple of national publications focusing in on the City of Trees and what is Boise's ranking versus other cities and states. Why is it such a great place to live of you already know, but we're going to back it up with some great information when we come back with the Chris Lofthus Show, brought to you by our friends at the Chris Lofthus Realty Group and by our friends. I guess I think of all of the different groups out there.
Branding.
Well, you've got, we talked about Concierge Legacy, we talked about Burton Freeze.
Sure.
And then your home base with your realty company as well. I mean, it really is a whole family.
Yeah, with Keller Williams, it is kind of a family, and I want to discuss this because we can touch a little bit more on it when we come back at the end of next segment.
Yeah.
Just remind me when we come back on to discuss where Keller Williams Boise sits nationally. It's a pretty amazing number.
All right, we'll do that more right after this.